Hello, online crew. How are you? We're going to talk about stories today. Before we get into that, I'm just sharing my live from my business page into my group because I'm having ongoing technical difficulties at the moment. So let's just share that over there. How are you all today? Anyone watching from Florida that survived the hurricane? Let us know how you are going for any of our American what am I trying to say? Floridarians, a new word I just made up. Okay, we're having trouble streaming. I get that, but hopefully I'm live in the free group as well as my business page and Instagram over here and YouTube. So if you are here with me live, say hello. We're going to talk about stories today, as I mentioned, and I want to give you 3 different things to think about regarding how you can achieve 5 stories a day easily on Facebook and Instagram. So how many of you sort of admit that maybe you're not in your stories as much as you should be? Maybe you overthink stories, or it's just not on your radar to put content in your stories. Like, how do you feel about stories? Are you regular in stories? And when I say stories, I don't mean writing a story on your social media. I mean the stories feature. So like the Facebook, the feed that's up the top, the stories feed, and on Instagram as well. So you've got your news feed and you've got your stories feed, and they're 2 very different things. There's a completely different algorithm that runs with them, as well as, the type of content that you put out there. I did share this time last week, I shared a video with you about how often to post where on which platform, and stories was a big part of that discussion. Stories is something that you definitely want to share more and more of, whereas a news feed, you want to kind of limit the content that you're putting in there. So if you overthink stories in any capacity, then this video will be helpful to you, because I want to give you 3 different strategies. You can choose the one that best suits you, and hopefully you can put that into action so you never struggle for content for your stories again. Okay, so if you are here with me live, say hello. We've got Beth on live. How are you? We've got Jane here. Good to see you. Do more of them now. So that's awesome, Jane. And what we really want to do with our stories is more of them. The more you can share the more you can share sort of behind the scenes, the more you can share information, curiosity-based information about your business and your products. Awesome. Because we are in a relationship business, and people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, and stories is your opportunity to do that. Okay. So if you've got a pen, here's the 3 ways that I'm going to give you. So just one of these 3 will hopefully resonate with you, and you can test it out, or a combination of these 3. Okay. So what I'm about to give you is 3 different strategies of how to achieve a minimum of kind of 5 stories a day, every day. And if you can stick to this and get into a pattern and a groove of, doing stories regularly all the time, it will definitely help you in your business. Okay. So first strategy to think about is, when we talk about Facebook content, something I often talk about is content buckets. So if you know what I mean by that, just put like yes or no in the comments section. Like, do you know what I mean by content buckets on Facebook? And this is related to Instagram stories as well. But if you're on Instagram for business, you're not necessarily going to follow a 5 content bucket strategy on Instagram if you're on there for business. But stories, even if you've got a strong business focus over on Instagram, you should still share a lot of personal information in your stories, because that's how people get to know you. Okay. So, yes or no in the comments regarding content buckets. Do you know what that means? Like, let me know. Hey, Dean, good to see you on today. I'm glad you survived the hurricane and that you're safe and sound. Even if you don't have kind of internet, you've got power, and you came across very, very lucky, it sounds like. So, anybody that was impacted by the hurricane, I hope you've come out of it okay. So don't know what we mean by content buckets. Okay. So let me just briefly explain that. Take your Facebook personal profile as an example. So your 5 content buckets, if you think about content and you want to use social media to help you build your business, you don't want to talk about all different things at all times, because no one will really know what it is that you do or how you help people, or get a sense of who you are. So when somebody kind of looks at you on social media, they'll think certain things about you. It's like, oh, that's that person in health and wellness, or that's the weight loss person, or that's the person that does quilting, or that's the person that does cooking or gardening or singing or whatever. When people think of you, what's in your social media content that people can get a sense of who you are and what you like and what you're up to. So when you choose 5 content buckets and you cycle your content around those content buckets, it helps people get a sense of who you are and what your passions are and how you can help people. So somebody like me, my content buckets on Facebook will definitely be, most people have a content bucket of family. So most people know that I've got a husband. Some of you might know his name is Paul. I've got 2 kids. 2 boys, they're 16 and 17 now, and what they're up to. And one rides motorbikes kind of professionally and just got his driver's license. So there's things that you'll know about me and my world and my family because I share it. Okay, so that might be a content bucket. Okay, another content bucket might be a pet, an animal. Something like, most people know that I've got a pug called Harley because I share stuff on my social media about Harley, and that creates lots of conversations, especially with other people that have got pugs or dog owners. So that could be another content bucket. Another one for me will definitely be natural health and wellness. It's something that I'm into, important to me. I teach at the gym once a week. I share that. I'm into natural health. I share that. I have health issues. I share that. So if you're into those things, it would be a content bucket because you want to let people know what it is that you are interested in. So if you sell health and wellness products and natural ones, you want to have content around health and wellness. If you never talk about health and wellness, but you sell natural health and wellness products, people aren't going to listen to you when your company comes out with something exciting. You go, oh, there's 20% off of this. And they're going to go, I've got no trust in you talking about that because you never talk about that. So you've got to have content buckets to represent what you want people to know about you. Another one for me will be multiple streams of income, building a business online, social selling, social media. You'll see that dotted in my content, even on my personal profile, because that's what I want people to know about me. What I do and how I help people, etc. So that's another content bucket. And a 5th one for me might be inspiration and motivation, because I love to share that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of personal development. As you guys know, if you're familiar with my lives, I do a video once a week about something to do with personal growth, personal development, something to help you be a better version of yourself. So that's one of my content buckets on my Facebook personal profile as well. So that's what we mean by content buckets. You have 5 core things, up to 5. You don't have to have 5. You could have more than 5, but we don't want to have too many. So there's core things that you'll post about continually to let people know what it is that you do, how you help people, your interests, your passions, etc. And that can help you build your business on social media because it gains people's respect. And you gain influence in those areas when you talk about them over and over again. Okay? So if you think of that theory, think about stories. If you've got 5 content buckets and you want to do 5 stories a day, why not follow the same content buckets? That's one strategy. So you could think about, okay, I'm going to do one of each of those in my stories every day. So I'm going to share something about me or my family, something about an animal or something, or it could be a hobby. Maybe you're into cooking or gardening or horses or quilting or whatever it is. Like, share that kind of stuff and share that in your stories, as well. So one strategy, the first strategy to easily get 5 stories up a day on Facebook and Instagram, and actually just before I finish that, connect them. Just if you're on both platforms, just when you, so if you go and do a story in Facebook, go down to the wheel on the bottom left-hand side and connect it to your Instagram and just make it go up at the same time. So you don't need to create separate content in both of them in stories. You could have just creating it once in Facebook, connect it to your Instagram, and it's going up at both at the one time. Okay, so that's how you're going to save time. So strategy number 1 is to just follow that 5 content bucket strategy and share them to both platforms. So you could easily do that. A different way to look at doing 5 stories a day, though, could be Another strategy I talk about, which is the 5 E's. Who knows what the 5 E's are, or any of the E's that I talk about regarding social media content, because you want to have content that sort of recycles or cycles through these 5 E's. So anybody know what any of them are, even if you don't know all 5? Do you know 1 or 2 of them? Like, put them in the comments section if you know what I'm talking about when I say the 5 E's. Now, before I get into what the 5 E's are, what we have to consider about humans is that different content is going to connect with different people. So if you do the same kind of content all the time, you're going to be missing certain people because they're going to resonate with different things. So some people might resonate with you for a health discussion. Some people might resonate with you just because you're family. Some people might resonate with you, just because you're cooking. So people will resonate with you, your 5 content buckets, but people will resonate with you for the different type of E-type content as well, which is, how many have we got here? So Kathy said entertaining. That is one of the E's. So some people just like put a piece of content out there or put them in something in your stories that makes people laugh. Like, put some entertaining. That's one of the E's. So you could have an E-type content. Education, very good, Kathy. So something educational, something valuable, a tip, a strategy, something that, is meaningful to somebody that they can learn from you. So that's another E, okay? Education. So far we've got entertaining and education. Oh, well done, Dean. Dean's got education. Engagement is one we haven't mentioned. Empowerment, so empowering, inspirational content. Entertainment, and emotion is the other one. Now, emotion isn't woe is me. Emotion is triggering emotion in other people that they can relate to what you're sharing. Like, some of you will know, if you've been watching my story, I've been talking a lot about my health. I've got a dodgy shoulder. I've just found out this week I've got tendonitis and bursitis, and they gave me a cortisol injection, and that's all settling down, and etc. And so I'm talking about it. Okay, so it triggers like pain and health issues. It triggers emotion in other people. So I'm sharing the emotion of being in pain and what I'm going through, and people can relate to that, and that triggers up new conversations. Okay, so let me put those up again. Education, engagement, empowerment. So that's like inspiring, empowering, positive messages, quotes. If you look at my stories every day, pretty much once a day, I've got some kind of quote going up with a positive message of some sort. Like, it's empowering for people to read those things. They need to see them every day. Okay, something entertaining or something emotional. So you could actually cycle 5 stories a day on the E's. So the first strategy, you could cycle 5 stories a day on your content buckets and easily just map that out. You could look at these 5 E's and go, well, I want a bit of that every day in my stories. How can I actually educate people or provide a bit of value around, my topic of choice? I could ask a question. I could do something engaging in my stories. I could share just a picture of an inspirational quote. I can just go and find one off Google, put it in my stories, put a piece of music behind it. That's it. You're done. Something entertaining. That could be you doing something entertaining. It could be a photograph. It could be a cartoon. It could be a little video that you can put up. Like, entertaining could mean anything. Emotion could be the emotion of something you're struggling with that you're talking about, or triggering the emotion of like a particular issue you're dealing with. Like, you could think of all sorts of different things around that. So there's another strategy to look at okay, how do I get 5 stories a day? I'm just going to think of the different E's and put something up every day with that. Here's the third one, though, which I think is actually a little bit easier than both of those two, because you're still thinking of quite a bit of topic, quite a bit of content in sort of different topics. Here's probably what I would suggest you do as a third option. Okay, so as a third option, out of 5 stories a day, I would do 3 of just behind the scenes. Just think of behind the scenes. So what are you doing? Right now, you're watching me deliver a training to you on stories. So if you're watching on your computer, you could pick up a phone and just, record yourself watching my my video training, or you wait till I finish. You go back into the group of my page or wherever, and you just video it. Just watch this training with Helen Martin about stories. This was really interesting. Loved all the tips or whatever. Like, it's just behind the scenes. It's what you're doing. If you want people to notice that you're building a business on social media, then share in your stories that you are learning how to build a business on social media. If you're building a business for multiple streams of income and you're doing that online, then you sharing behind the scenes about you watching a training about how to do that is indirectly sharing with people that you build a business online and you're learning how to build a business online. Like, just share behind the scenes stuff. Like, so many people say to me, I have a boring life. I just sit in the same place every day. I don't go out much, whatever. But guaranteed, you're listening to something, you're scrolling social media, you're learning something, you're probably picking up on a training or a video or something that you're doing to, build your business. So share it. What else could you do, behind the scenes? Maybe you've got a health and wellness product or a product you take or whatever. So make it up in the kitchen. Like, go and look at my stories from today. Like, I'm only a few hours into my day in Australia. It's morning here. But I've already shared this morning that I've got up and exercised. Cortisol injection is kicking in. So I've shared that. Okay. I've also shared a natural supplement that I use that helps me with my hormones and my gut health and whatever. Like, I've shared that in my stories. So, behind the scenes is kind of, what are you up to in your day? What are you doing? But what can you share at the same time? And with what message? So just, what do you do in a day? If you move, you talk, you listen, you learn, you've got eyes, you've got ears, you've got legs, you've got arms, you're doing something. So 3 times a day, just share something about what you're doing in your day. Then the other 2 fillers during the day. So you might do that morning, sort of middle of the day, and maybe something at nighttime. And then the other 2 could be drawing from the other 2 strategies that I've already talked about. And what I mean by that is, we've got a behind the scenes content. The other piece of content could be one of your 5 content buckets. So that's the second story. The third story is another behind the scenes, just something you're doing, you're up to, a thought or something like that. Then your third story could be drawing on one of the 5 E's. Okay. And then your last story of the day, what are you doing? What are you watching on TV? What are you making for dinner? Like, people need to get to know you. So share you. Some of you really overthink and overcomplicate what you should be sharing in your stories. People will buy your products and get interested in your business when they like you. So are you putting likable content out there in your stories? Are you letting people get to know you? You, not everything that you sell, not the business that you're in, but are you letting people get to know you, your personality, what you're up to, what you like, what you're using, what you're sharing, what you're watching, what you're learning? So a third strategy could be the combination of using the other 2 by the 5 things behind the scenes, draw from one of your 5 content buckets, behind the scenes, draw from one of your 5 E's, behind the scenes, 5 stories, done. So just put a bit of thought into what you're doing, but just get better at sharing your day in your stories and let people get to know you. Does this make sense? That's why you were so quick off the mark, Dean. You keep those written out on your desk. Does that seem simple enough? Like, to just pick one of those that might be more suitable to you. Okay, I'm just going to follow my 5 content buckets and put that one of those in my stories every day. Or I'm going to just follow those 5 E's because I've got written them out, beside my desk like Dean does, and I'm going to follow that strategy. Or I'm simply just going to show up and share a little bit more about me and what I'm eating and what I'm drinking and what I'm watching and what I'm learning and what I'm doing and walking the dog, or, whatever it is. I'm just going to share more of my life. And in between that, I'm going to share, something from my 5 content buckets. Like, I want to make sure I'm talking about something to do with health related, because I'm in a health and wellness business every single day. That's got to be in my stories every single day. And then I'm just going to make it really easy for myself. I want to do something inspiring and empowering. So I've got that E, empowering. I'm just going to find an inspirational quote every single day, share it and put music in it. And that's one of my stories that I'm going to do every day. Don't overcomplicate it. There should be no excuse for you not having at least one story a day. If it's just going and finding an inspirational quote, putting some music behind it or a message behind it or a gift behind it or something like that, and somebody reads that and goes, yeah, I needed to hear that today. Or somebody looks at it, or it might be something funny. It might be a joke. Like, go to Google and put really funny health quotes or something like that. Screenshot it or something, put it in your stories, put some music behind it and throw it out there. Put a smile on somebody's face for the day. Don't overthink stories. Just get stuff up there to help people get to know your personality and who you are, for a number of reasons. One, for all of that, but two, to get the algorithm working between you and other people. Like when people are looking at your stories, it might just prompt them to comment. And when they comment, now they're in your messenger. You can also see everybody that's looking at your stories. If your stories are really limited, you are missing opportunities on social media because you can see everybody that's watching your stories. So the more stories that you've got out there, and then when you're looking back at those stories, you can see actually who's looking at you. It's very interesting to see who's looking at you. And one of the things that I've always taught in my lead generation boot camps is look at the people that are looking at you because they're not cold to you. They're warm to you. If somebody's watching your stories, they are choosing to watch your stories. If they open up their phone and your post is there on their news feed, that could be by accident. That could be the algorithm working and your post is what somebody's seen. But if somebody's looking at your stories, it's a choice. They're clicking on it and they're watching it and they're choosing to. And so if you've got multiple stories and their name is still there for every story, they're warm to you. They're looking at you. You're helping them get to learn more about who you are, what's important to you. So be that person that's uplifting and entertaining and inspiring and empowering and triggering emotion and letting people get to know you, dotting your products, value, all those kind of things. There is so much gold in stories that you might be missing if you really want to build a business on social media. And here's where it's super powerful. And I see this all the time. People get enthused in companies when there's something special coming up. There's a launch of a new product, or there's a special going on, or there's something that's got a deadline on it, and they put it in their stories, and it completely falls flat. And the reason for that is you haven't primed your audience beforehand. You haven't primed them to know that you've got any kind of knowledge or influence about, health and wellness or weight loss or skincare or travel or whatever, jewelry, whatever it is that you do in your business. And you're not letting people get to know, what your level of knowledge is around sort of certain things or what you actually do in your life. Like you want people to look at you, as I said at the beginning of this video, and go, I'm pretty sure Helen builds businesses online. I'm pretty sure she's into natural health and wellness. She's been talking a lot about hormones and menopause and a frozen shoulder and, all these kind of things lately. Like when people look at your content, they get a sense of who you are, and it's your billboard, and they get a sense of whether you're a positive person. They get a sense of whether you're somebody to trust. People that are trustworthy on social media show up regularly, but they don't get overwhelmed with it. They just have a bit of a plan. So I've given you three strategies to think about here as a bit of a plan to get up 5 stories a day. So work out of a combination of those things that I've shared with you, what's going to be the easiest strategy for you to get roughly 5 stories up a day. Can you do that? And just learn to do it more naturally in your day, and that's where the overwhelm will come down. You might need a bit of planning and a bit of thought initially to get into the groove, but once you get into the groove, it'll become more naturally to you, and you'll just find you'll end up putting up more anyway because you just pull out your phone and just share the moment in real time. But you've got to get into that habit. So start with one of these kind of strategies, and then it'll become more natural and normal to you to share. And then you won't even have to think about it moving forward. It'll just become something that you do. Okay? But it's not wrong also to have time off in your stories. Like, don't let social media exhaust you. And if you need a day off here and there and not share anything in your stories, that is not wrong. Okay? But if you're on track 80% of the time with social media, like everything that you learn, if you're on track 80% of the time with what you know you need to do, you'll progress in your business. It's when you're only doing about 10% of what you know you should be doing that you're not going to get much traction. Okay. All right. Thank you for those reminders from Beth. Love this. I needed to hear this today. So I'm awesome that you're on, Mel. I'm glad you've got some value from this video, and I hope anybody else watching live or on the replay also, needed to hear this, or some reminders, or, just even if that reminder is don't overthink what you put in your stories, just share a little bit more of who you are and what you're up to. Okay. Because it really is a blessing. And then to be able to see who's looking at your stories, you'll very quickly get to work out who's warm to you and who's actually watching what you're doing. And they're good people to then follow up with on social media and connect with and engage with and let them know that you're there. Okay. You're welcome, Emma. Love this. Thanks. Awesome. So, a couple of reminders. If you are in my coaching community, go and watch the replay that I did yesterday in the coaching community Facebook group on active and passive prospecting strategies. I went deep into active prospecting, which is in an attraction marketing way, not in a spammy way, that can help you get to a business conversation a lot quicker, and just what to say and how to approach people on social media and Messenger. Okay. So this is my last live video for the week. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Catch up on the replays of my videos from this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week for more training. Bye.